All right, we're here. Got another episode of Mic Drop Mondays. It is Sunday. We're recording on Sunday, June the 1st. We'll release it tomorrow. First of all, there was a little growing pains, and they'll continue to be, we'll continue to get better as we go along. But I think toward the end of the week, we were able to post this thing to different podcast formats. I know it posted to YouTube pretty quickly. And then Spotify and Apple Podcasts format. Is there any others that it posts to?
We can link it with Amazon Music if you want.
I mean, I don't know if whatever works. Different people like different formats, or they have that app, or whatever. So
or iHeartRadio also is another option. So we can work on getting it to all of them, just in case.
I love the YouTube format. And some of the carriers either are paying like the $20 a month, so they have premiums, because if you have premium, you can turn off the phone and still hear. Or you gotta pay for the extra for that. Or some of them will just like drop the phone in their satchel, and hope that like nothing touches it and like sends it off. So YouTube, you can see it. You have the visuals as well as the audio, but I think what about Spotify? You can see on Spotify too, right?
It's just an audio recording on Spotify.
Is there something we would have to do to make it?
I think that they just do like little promo videos. I don't think it's like full on video.
I was looking at the, maybe we'll call him at some point, but I was looking at the Comfort Stop. This carrier in California, Rick Rock does that show. Happy birthday to the brother, by the way. But I'm pretty sure I went through Spotify. But anyway, I could see him. I could definitely see him. And I don't think I was on YouTube, so I'm not sure what I was on.
I'll have to look into that then.
Yeah, I have to see what he's doing. But anyway, we'll continue to kind of make upgrades, and we'll get better at the whole production end of it. I want to thank the great producers of the show, Sarah Cuello and Renee Lomax from Branch 825. I think they might be ready to do a little introduction today. Tell you who they are, maybe.
Renee, you want to go first, or you want me to?
I'll go first. My name is Renee Lomax. I'm a new vice president with Branch 825. Started off as a trustee at first, and now I'm VP. Going into the LMOU negotiations and stuff like that now, so it's bit busy. So yeah. Guess that's all I have.
How long you been a carrier, Renee?
Since 2019.
Since 2019, and vice president is a full-time union position, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right.
Anytime I say 2019, I always get, oh, you haven't been here that long. You don't know anything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you work hard, you read.
Yeah.
You talk with your fellow carriers all the time. You call me 3 times a day.
Yeah, I was going to say, bug you and that.
Quick question, Mike. Quick question.
Yeah. She's feisty. That's how she got where she's at. She's not just, she might be new, but she's got skills.
And we like them feisty. We love them feisty.
Yeah.
This is a union. This ain't no country club.
Right. You want somebody who's going to fight for you, not just let management get one over. So, yeah. Okay, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Sarah Cuello. I am also out of Branch 825. I am a rank and file member. I'm an academy facilitator right now. Yeah, that's about it. I've been a carrier since 2016. I started my career in Brookfield, and then I transferred to Villa Park, which is a beautiful 3-minute commute when I go into my office.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Yeah.
Did you say you're alternate steward too?
Oh, I am an alternate steward. Yep. Newly appointed alternate steward as of January.
I didn't know you guys got her in the game. That's good.
Yep.
Well done. Well done. All right, awesome. And I ran into you on what was that, Thursday at the Carrier Academy in Des Plaines.
Yeah. I was so sad that day because that's the first time since October that we haven't had 100% organization in the union.
I was going to ask you if that guy ever came back and joined the union. No, right?
No, but he's looking to join 825 now. So he's going to get probably a lot more information then.
Oh, he's looking to transfer.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, to accept another PTF position.
I don't think he can.
Well, he'd have to resign from where he's at and then accept it.
Right. But man, the problem with that is you have to resign. Everything is so clunky with the post office. You don't have a guarantee that they're going to hire you.
Right. We tell them not to resign until they get the offer to accept the position, like that it's accepted.
But I don't know that they'll offer him a position if he's a current employee. I doubt it. That he'd have to go off on faith and say, you know, what's the process going to be? And, oh yeah, we're going to do some hiring, and, you know, it could be 60 days. It could be, they could never get to him. I don't know. I hate that thing.
Yeah, I know typically, like with Elmhurst, like just the PTFs who left to like go to Des Plaines, that's normally what happens is they put in to go there, and then like the postmaster or whoever will end up like calling saying like, hey, can you either release them to come here, to come over here, or they'll just resign and go there. So I do see that happening a lot, where they want to hurry up and get out of the office, but they still want to stay there in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
But before it was when you had CCAs, you know, now Elmhurst is all career office, you know, Des Plaines all career office. He was going to what, Buffalo Grove or something? He was going to an all career office. So when you're a PTF, you get hired, there's a lock-in period. There's a contractual lock-in period of 12 or 18 months. And you can't transfer. Like as a CCA, it's no problem. You can apply for a career job. You can quit the CCA job, move to another, you know, as long as it's a career job. You can quit the CCA job and go to another CCA job. But going from a career position to another career position, my understanding is they will not offer you that career position in the new office. You have to just resign and then apply and then go through the process, which...
Oh yeah, the crazy thing is that it has been happening like that though, where like they have been getting the offers.
Even though they're already working as a career employee in Elmhurst, they're getting a job offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're getting the job offer, and they're
crazy.
going to like the that. Yeah, I was gonna say that. I don't know, but I've seen it happen where they go and they apply, because we literally had, like, I think it was 2 people transfer over to go over to Des Plaines, and that's what happened. Like they put in to go over there, and when they put in to go over there, they just, I guess Elmhurst had to give like the separation paperwork or whatever ended up happening, but they ended up going there, and they hadn't been there for like, was it like 18 months or something like that? Like we haven't even had PTFs yet for 18
lock-in period,
so,
right?
Yeah.
Send me that when you get a chance. If you have an example of that email that they sent to them offering them that job, I'd like to see what that looks like.
Okay, I will.
Because maybe they're doing something new, and we can advise the new carriers, you know, what their options would be. Because right now, I pretty much advise them, if you get hired as a career employee, you're stuck there, you know, through the lock-in period. But if there's other options, I'd like to know about that. Awesome. Glad we had that conversation. Is that going to make the cut, or are we going to cut that out?
That's up to you.
I mean, I thought it might be useful. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to keep it in, but we should probably let Jenna introduce herself and do her thing too.
Jenna, what's your name?
My name is Jenna Morin. I'm the president of Branch 340 in Lancaster, Ohio.
Awesome. And you are part of the group that's trying to get the special convention going this year?
Yes. So Article 3, Section 2 provides for the calling of a special meeting. We started this journey on the last week of August. the template, the team, and the plan wasn't set in place until probably about the 27th or 28th of April. And then we spent the first 2 weeks gathering information, and that wasn't an easy task. The addresses on the national website aren't correct, and it doesn't provide like phone numbers or anything like that. So we had to create our own database and collect contact information for 1,552 branches. We did that through the LM, in case if anyone's wondering. We didn't steal information or hack anyone's phones. But meanwhile, during all of that, we still have to deliver the mail, file our grievances, and attend trainings and, the current LMOU negotiations. We're probably about 1/3 of the way through. We still have a lot of calls to be made. The momentum and the numbers, we think they're going to explode here in the next month. At least we hope so. So we stand at about 23% of the branches and 35% of the membership. We're on pace to hit this goal. It takes every carrier in every branch.
So you're almost halfway there as far as the number of branches? You said 21%?
23% of the branches. So no, we still need 77%.
I thought it was only 50% of the branches.
Yes. So we're 23% to that goal.
I got you. 23% to the 50.
Yeah. So there's another slide showing the percentages of each region.
I don't see no slides. Are the slides supposed to be up?
They are. They are up.
I can see
Are they up? I just don't see them.
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah, I think you need to zoom in on the iPad there a little bit.
No, I got like a gray screen or something. There's nothing up on mine. But
well, you'll be happy to know that Region 3 is in the lead with 32%, and then following right behind is Region 11 with 30%. So
your region and ours.
Yeah. Yes.
But I mean, neither one of our region is even over 50%, and that would be the threshold. So
right.
We definitely have a lot of work to do. So on the LM reports, there's a phone number for most of the branches don't have full-time officers, so there's a phone number for the president, or what do you call? How do you contact them?
So yeah, the LMs are public information. So we searched all the LMs across the whole country, and yeah, it has their phone number and their name, whoever signed it.
So the president usually,
yeah, usually
treasurer.
In defunct branches, or the small minimum dues. I shouldn't call them defunct. I'm sorry. They are signed by a secretary treasurer, but typically you can call and find out who's responsible.
Right. Some of those phone numbers, I can tell you from experience, are the post office.
We've called several post offices, believe it or not. Believe it or not, management's been pretty cool with putting people on the phone. You just got to catch them at the right time. That's the only downfall. Right. It's you've got a very short window in the morning and a very short window in the afternoon.
Right.
A lot of times you leave a message, they'll call you back. If you tell them, I'm the branch president in Lancaster, Ohio, and I just want to talk to you about some union business, they'll give you a call.
That's awesome.
It's just a lot. There's a lot of people to be called.
Yeah. Let's see if we can help you. I mean, there's, I don't know. I know that I saw the chart with the number of branches. You guys have us for 44 branches. I think we're down to between 40 or 42 branches actually, but the mergers hadn't gone through or whatever. We've done pretty good in my region over the past couple of years, and I know I'm not the only region. You see the number of branches go down because we've been contacting these minimum dues branches normally, or just branches that we don't ever hear from. They don't come to the state convention. They don't come to any trainings. They don't file no grievances. So we've been kind of contacting them over the past couple of years. At least I know we're doing that in Region 3, but I think a lot of the regions are doing that. And we're like, hey, are you in business? And I had most of my smaller kind of non-functional branches ended up merging with another branch, but not all of them. Still got a couple of them out there. If that's what they want to do, they can remain a branch, but you want them to they're supposed to have meetings, they're supposed to have elections, and they're supposed to be able to file grievances when those issues come up. But I just say all that to say there's a lot of these branches still out there. Like I saw in the chart, like Region 9 has like 200 and something branches, and Region 2 and some of these areas that are real spread out, they have hundreds of branches in the region. And so it'd be nice if you guys get some help from, somebody from like that state association. The state association should be able to contact the branches. Just someone in that region that's willing to make some phone calls. My thing, and I'm pretty sure you agree with me on this, I just want the branches to take it up. Just consider it. And, if there's reasons why they think they want to vote it down, it's a democracy. I'm not going to tell people you got to vote. We have to have a special convention. I just think it'd be a good idea, considering that we have contract negotiations beginning next year, and we never really had the opportunity to talk about what we want in the contract, and if we want to make any changes to the Constitution prior to the negotiations beginning in February. Of course, we could just go to the regular convention in LA next year, but that doesn't begin until August. So you'd lose the first, 5 or 6 months. And, we've already had all these negotiations with management without us coming together as a union. And, in the times we're in, it's just, we really need to make some progress on this next contract. We really needed to make progress on the last contract, but we pretty much didn't. Unless, some minor things, yes, but not really. So anyway, we'd like to help you. So if there's if you can put up on the screen phone number they can call you, or email address. I think you guys are using a pretty cool email address. So pretty easy to remember if they want to contact you.
That's why it was created, is it would be something easy that everybody would remember. shithouselawyers@gmail.com.
Can't forget that.
My phone number is out on several podcasts, but I can give it to you as well.
Go ahead.
It's 740-304-7855. Also want to ask you a question. So you were talking about in LA how the contract negotiations would already be started. So let me ask you this. As a leader, would you not have your plan together before you started negotiations? Like if somebody gave you like a packet of resolutions in the like after you'd already started, would you even entertain those? I mean, you might look through them.
The negotiation period would literally be over. I mean, per the law, the negotiation period is 90 days prior to the expiration of the contract, and the contract expires May 21st. That is the negotiating period. Of course, we still have probably an opportunity to maybe set some goals if we end up going to interest arbitration. But, I know I would like it. And, I know it's kind of a rhetorical question, but think about it. You're the president of your branch. You're going through local negotiations. I'm sure you've gotten some feedback from the members of your branch about what they're looking for in this round of local negotiations. But if the period is 30 days, you wouldn't wait until July to, canvass the members or, start discussing about what you want to accomplish in this round of local negotiations. That wouldn't make any sense, right?
That was kind of my point.
Exactly. We're going back and forth here. We're on the same page. But yeah, I just, like I said, if you guys don't want to do it, that's like I say, we're democracy. We're not going to force anyone to do anything, but just please consider it. So what we need is help contacting all of the branches, particularly the smaller branches. If you can make 5 or 10 phone calls, if you can contact the ones in your state or in your region, that would be awesome. I know we have 170 branches that have already passed this thing?
Just about. I think you're right about there.
So that just tells you there is a lot of people that want to see this happen, and it's going to take a little bit more legwork. So we're asking for some help here. Please contact Jenna at the phone number. We'll put the phone number up on the screen, or send them an email at shithouselawyers@gmail.com.
Thanks, Mike.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. Sarah or Renee, you guys got any questions for Jenna?
No, I don't have anything. She pretty much hit everything there.
You guys just voted on it, right? In branch 825?
Yeah, we passed it.
That's Melissa's branch, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Melissa Raystar is the president. Yeah,
I'm
they have their meetings the last Thursday of the month. So what was it, last Thursday?
Yeah.
Was there any, was anyone against it? Was there any opposition or?
There were like 4 retirees in the back that were like, no, and that was it.
What was their did they say what their reasoning was? Or?
No, they didn't say anything until it was like
time
to vote.
Yeah, well, that happens with any vote. No matter what you put to a vote at a branch meeting, someone's gonna be like, no.
I mean, there's some people that say no just to say no to be different.
Be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was in my branch. It was real smooth. I think the vice president, Ronnie Morgan, got up and made a motion, and the president had kind of explained what you guys were trying to accomplish, and then he made the motion, and I don't know if it was unanimous, but it was, everyone was cool with it. So we'll see. But yeah, for all the people that are supporting it, please help, reach out and help out, especially if you're in those states that have a lot of branches, or those regions that have a lot of branches. We need some help, but we need help everywhere. And then before I let you go, Jenna, how are the local negotiations going? You being a new president, this your first time doing the local negotiations?
Actually, it's not. It's my second time. The first time we just cleaned up language, and anything we didn't agree upon, we just didn't touch. I didn't feel confident enough to handle like an impasse process. But this time I participated in 2 LMOU trainings, and I'm ready. I'm so ready. I'm going to impasse everything they don't agree on.
How was the cleaning up of the language? Was it like putting stuff in order, or was it like he, she type stuff, or what was, or old contract language?
It was just really hard to understand. I feel like the Constitution and the contract can be rather difficult for, a regular person to read, but this stuff was like dated back in the 80s. I can't even explain it. I'll have to show you.
Yeah, it's I know we had, I remember some of the negotiations in Chicago, and it would be like obvious that you'd have to change the language. And we had a couple of those rounds of negotiating, depending on who you're negotiating with. They're like, no, we're not changing anything. And it's, how do you impasse language? You know what I mean? You don't have a substantive dispute. So it got kind of weird there.
Yeah, my postmaster's pretty decent about stuff like that. I mean, he doesn't want to pay any grievance settlements, but
right.
When it comes to language, he'll give me language all day.
Right. That's good. It's always a marvel to me that, we negotiate a national contract, and when we negotiate the national contract, obviously that's your pay, your benefits, your working conditions. And then we send it to the branches to negotiate their portion. But when the national union does it, we have attorneys, we have economists, we have actuaries, we have this whole big apparatus there. And then we turn it over to the branches, and a lot of the branches have so many different installations within their branch and stuff like that. And, we're just letter carriers, we're not attorneys and all that. But I think we do a really good job. I think we do a really good job across the board. I mean, the training is always there. We always get support from the national union. And I don't know of any branch that needs help with their negotiations that's not getting it, kind of thing. So I just, wish you guys luck and go get them.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Thank you.
So Sarah, you putting up on the screen the sample letter? Is that what that is?
Yeah. I did the graph earlier. I'll do that. I can do that again too.
Jenna, you want to describe that sample letter or how they can get it?
Oh yeah. So the special meeting template, you can get that from me or Stephanie, or the special meeting. I'm sorry, it's the NALC special convention on Facebook. It's listed on there, but if you want the Word document, just reach out to the Shithouse Lawyers and I'll send it right through. It's got a space for you to put in your branch president's name, and then you can obviously read it yourself, but the object of the call is contract resolutions and constitutional amendments directly related to collective bargaining. We proposed Atlantic City or Las Vegas, Nevada, but that was mostly so that hopefully it won't be scheduled in some place like Boston that was extremely high priced. If you have any questions, just reach out to me and I'll help you.
Awesome. So I don't know, Jenna, we talked about last week. At some point, we're going to try to do these live, shows, but this one is, we're filming this on the Sunday. And so if you picked your nose or anything or whatever, we can edit it out.
I appreciate that.
I do too.
I kind of caught on pretty soon that's what you were doing. So
I'm very, very nervous about the live thing. So
I get it. Stephanie wanted to do the lives because she felt like that live was better than Zoom. I said, girl, why? If you make a mistake on live, there's no taking it back. At least on Zoom, it's like you don't have to post the Zoom and you can chop it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm willing to do the live if people like it better because of that factor, you're just kind of stuck with it, and maybe it will, draw more people in, which is kind of the point of doing these shows, is to get the engagement from as many people as possible. But we'll see. We'll see on that. So Jenna, send me, and this is something I didn't even talk with Sarah and Renee about, but we do have little mugs for the campaign that have the campaign logo on, little coffee mugs, and we'd like to send you one as being a guest on our show. I think Tyrone was on last week. I think he has one already. But if you send me your address, we will send you out a mug.
Okay, thanks. I like coffee mugs, the regular
cool
old school ones.
Yeah.
Everybody is going to like the coffee mugs and the insulated cups, but it keeps the coffee too hot and it burns my lips. I'm a baby.
It's too hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things are good for keeping the stuff cool, but you don't want it too. At least you got soup. Remember the old school thermoses where you have like soup? You bring your soup to work or whatever?
So I actually bought one of those as a CCA because I was on a route that was all apartments and stuff, so I'd freeze.
Right.
I bought one of those so that I could take broccoli and cheddar soup and chicken noodle soup to work.
Nice.
Because that is the best. Like when it's cold out, it warms you from the inside out.
It does, yeah.
Chowder. Did you was it like a Yeti?
Yeah. Well,
the Yetis, they're great. I mean, the quality, they keep stuff warm forever.
I shouldn't say it was a Yeti. It was the old school Stanley like my dad had.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Those are amazing.
And so like, let's say 5-6 hours later, it would still be hot.
Mm-hmm.
Very hot, and still had the cup that you could pour it in and drink it.
The little cup.
It was great.
That is awesome. All right, well, I didn't know we were going to plug for Stanley here, but hey.
There you go. Also, one more thing. We just asking that if you pass it to let us know in some way, shape, or form. You can reach out to us, phone, email, on Facebook Messenger. However, just let us know because we're trying to keep track of how many, checks and balances.
Okay. And you mentioned Facebook. The page on Facebook is what again? Convention something?
NALC call for a special convention.
NALC call for a special convention on Facebook. shithouselawyers@gmail.com for email. And we're going to put your phone number up.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you taking some time on a Sunday. Hang out with us for a little bit. We'll let you go.
Thanks. I might aspire myself to go record an episode.
There you go. There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one. All right. That was Jenna Morin. Yeah, Morin. I said that right, I think. Lancaster, Ohio, branch 340. She is the president. Appreciate her coming on and giving us some information. So now I'll kind of do a little recap of the past week. I mentioned that Lew Drass, former vice president of the NALC, came out with his own podcast, Drasstic Measures, with 2 S's, DRASSTIC Measures. So Lew had 2 episodes, and then he spent a lot of his time talking about Corey Walton, and Corey Walton from Aid Arbitration Podcast came back with an episode this week in response to Lew's episode. And I don't know if you guys even seen it yet, but Lew came out with episode number 3. I guess he put it out this morning or maybe late last night. But I listened to it just prior to us recording this, and it's wow, it's good. He has 3 guests on, and basically it's the he said, and Lew says, hey, you're not gonna take my word for it. I'm gonna bring on these guests, and they're gonna tell you from their point of view. And Lew, it was almost like he's doing an arbitration hearing. Like he's just got the witness up there. He's like, yeah, so then tell me what we did next. And then, what kind of grievances were those? And what did Corey say then? And, those kind of things. And it was interesting. I encourage you guys to go listen to that stuff, particularly because Corey Walton's a candidate for the executive vice president. And I've been saying this from the beginning. We have to really take the time to vet our candidates. And we have plenty of time, and make our choices wisely. I love all these guys. I really do. And it's funny to me because when they're about to take a shot at somebody else, they'll say, like Lew will say, I love Corey. I love the guy. But let me tell you, when it's like when they say they love you, well, Corey's done that to me. I love Mike, but let me tell you, so some shit's going down after he tells you he loves you. And that's where it's been. So I do appreciate the effort that the guys are putting forward. Corey, I've always loved the effort that he's had. I really, really appreciated from the beginning the effort that he put forth back when nobody was saying the things that he was saying. And he's got a good point there. When Lew comes on and says, I've been disappointed with the way Brian Renfro has, the way he conducted contract negotiations. I mean, I was disappointed when we got to the convention in Boston, and I thought the members of the union would be in an uproar about the fact that the president had for many, many, many months been telling us in all these different forums, and, he had his own podcast, and he was going to these rap sessions and these regions and these meetings and all of this saying that, we're close to either having a contract or going to arbitration. And we never did either, Well, we were close, but we never got there. And this went on for months and months. And it seemed like we got to the convention in Boston and we kind of gave them a pass on that. And I know we were dealing with the charges and it was a really different environment, but I do hold some of the same, kind of resentment that I know Corey holds about that whole situation, because I think the contract negotiations couldn't have gone any worse. I think we could have gotten a better contract. I think if we'd have went to arbitration in the summer of 2023, we would have gotten a better contract. I think the promises that we were given by President Renfro that, we were going to separate ourselves from the clerks, that the CCA job was going to be either a respectable pay job or we were going to fight for the all-career job. And then, some of the other issues like the grievance process and the mandatory overtime and, things he said he was going to address, he never did. And then I don't regret us voting the thing down, because I think that was the right thing to do. And I'm glad the members of the union spoke their piece. And then we got to, the point where President Renfro pretty much implemented the terms of the damn tentative agreement that we had just voted down. And so, when my brother Corey Walton says he holds a little bit of resentment or a lot of resentment for the people that sat on the sidelines during that whole time, I understand why he says that. And I understand where Lew's coming from. Lew explained, what he was doing personally during that time. And, he also talked about how this union has always fought for its members. And I think that is something that I've always had a kind of a disagreement with Corey about, in that I think that what we have is a leadership problem at the top. What we have is a problem of, what is our direction and our focus and our principles coming from the president, on down. And I've talked about how important the president is, how the president runs the convention, runs the executive council, is over collective bargaining, blah, blah, blah. And so, you want to make sure that person has the right temperament, has the right vision, is somebody that can work with everybody, that works collaboratively. somebody that is smart, somebody that, you know, has been around, that has experience. I mean, there's a lot of different criteria you're going to put into who that president is. And, you know, there's a significant number of people that say, hey, Corey Walton is a hothead. He dismisses people. He wants to talk shit about people. He calls everyone, what is it called? Pieces of shit. You know, it's like, damn, dude, you know, you're going to be the executive vice president of our union. You know, one step away, something happens to the president, you're the president, you know, you're going to be running the union. So I understand that point of view too. I understand both sides of this thing. And like I said, I'm just happy to see the guys in there. Listen, I talked about last week about the ranked choice voting, and we said we would play the little clip. There's a little clip from Australia that I really like as far as how it explains it. And like I was saying last week, it allows for as many people who want to be part of the process, the election process. They can be a part of it, and it doesn't split no votes, because you still have to get 50% of the membership to support you in order to get elected under the ranked choice voting system. And we weren't able to play the video. I guess what you guys were telling me is that that's a copyright infringement. We can't just play the thing. But what can we do to share the video for them?
So I added the links under the YouTube description. It should also be in the Apple Podcast description, because it allows me to add links there. And then you could describe what happens during the video.
That's putting me on the spot. I appreciate that. So what happens is the video is there's a bunch of animals that are running for office. And so like the kangaroo doesn't have enough votes. This is Australia, so I forget what the animals are, but they're all like outback animals. Okay. And if the way it works is, let's say you have 5 candidates, whoever has the least amount of votes. So you tally up the votes of all the candidates, and then you see, does somebody have 50%? Because the goal is somebody has to get 50% support. You got to have a majority support. You don't want to elect a president or anybody that only has 20% or 30% support amongst the members. You got to get to 50% under this system. And so whoever has, if nobody gets to 50%, whoever has the least amount of votes in that tally, they go away. They're no longer part of the count anymore. And so if somebody selected another choice behind the person that ends up getting eliminated, so let's say I was the lowest person and I had 1,000 votes, but 1,000 was the lowest number of all the candidates. They would take those 1,000 votes and they would look and see at the, in real time, they say, okay, do the people that voted for this person, do they have a second choice? And if they did, if they indicated a second choice, you take those votes, those 1,000 votes, and you add them in. So it may be 800 for this person and 200 for another person, or let's say 800 for this person, 100 for this person, and then 100 people, they didn't put a second choice. That's fine. It just falls off. But if they did, they can put a second choice and they can still participate in the next round of tallying, even though that's not their candidate, is no longer in anymore. And so they'll add in those votes and then do the same thing. Does somebody have 50% of the votes now? And so it's and you keep going until you get to somebody that has 50%. So it's a way where it's not so contentious. Like if you want to run and I want to run, hey, as many people as want to run should and can be able to do that. It doesn't dampen the democratic process in any way. And it also allows candidates, because it gets to be so divisive, don't vote for this person. They suck. There was a time, and they've tamped it down a little bit, man. The people in the CLC wanted to question my integrity. And I'm like, man, you guys are going a little too far here. This is we're a fraternal organization. So what you have is a conversation amongst friends about what our best direction is going forward. And it should be that type of a conversation. And I think when you have ranked choice voting, it helps that out, because I can tell you, hey, I think I'm a good person to run for this position. And I hope you guys agree and you want to support me on that. But if you don't think it's me, then I would ask you to support, this person and put this person down as your second choice. So it helps you to build collaboration versus everyone shooting each other down in that process. So anyway, we'll put the link up we can put it up again for this episode. Then?
Yeah, we could do it again.
All right, we'll link it again in the Apple Podcasts and the YouTube and whatever. So check out the little video. Just check it out. And I was telling you guys last week, at some point, probably August, September, maybe even October, I'll send out a packet to all the branches from the campaign. And I just want them to be able to, you guys and all the branches to be able to look at what are some of the proposals. And this will be one of them, ranked choice voting, because you have to change the Constitution to say, instead of just voting for one person, you'll be able to vote for multiple people, just like a bid card, 1717, first choice, second choice, third choice. So we'd have to change the Constitution to say that, and then it would have to come up for vote at the convention in Los Angeles, and or a special convention. But if we want to do that, then that vote can take place prior to the election happening in 2026, and then we could conduct the election in that manner. So, all right.
Okay.
Next topic is I told you guys the executive council was going to convene, this week, and we did. We convened on Wednesday, which was May the 28th. We convened in Washington, D.C. One of the things I told you was going to come out of that was that there was charges against President Renfro and Executive Vice President Paul Barner. And the charges that I thought, so originally there were charges by Michael Rivera from Branch 70 in San Diego. And instead of those charges resulting in an investigator being named, which to me is clearly what the Constitution calls for, at the last Executive Council WebEx meeting, we had determined that, we would, not do it that way, that instead we'd send him back a letter, Michael Rivera and the charging party. And so we sent him back a letter. The letter basically said, you're not able to bring forth the charge at this time, and here's the reasons why. And that's what we did. I didn't agree with that. There was a lot of people that didn't agree with that, but anyway, majority rules, and that's what ended up happening. And then he came back and said, hey, you guys, the Executive Council, you guys violated the Constitution when you did that, which we did. To me, clearly it's a violation of the Constitution. And what happened this time, there were some additional charges brought forth by a brother named Darren Knowles. He's from, I think, Raleigh, North Carolina, somewhere in North Carolina branch. And his charges, there was a charge against President Renfro and a charge against Executive Vice President Paul Barner. And the essence of the charge is that we were lied to during contract negotiations, during that whole period of time, which I was kind of talking about earlier, that I know a lot of the carriers, a lot of members of this union have a lot of heartburn about. Like, why did it take so long? What the hell was going on with negotiations? You're telling us it's going to be soon. You're telling us 2 weeks, and yet it's not. So anyway, all of that is not in the charge, in the allegation, but it's just, it's just an allegation that opens the door. So we decided, the Executive Council, that because there was a charge against the president and the Executive Vice President, we decided that Vice President James Henry, being the next person in command, and that's how the Constitution reads under Article 10, that he would name an investigator into these charges, and that's what's going to happen. Originally, President Renfro thought that it would be appropriate for him to name an investigator into the charges against the Executive Vice President, and then the Executive Vice President, Paul Barner, could name an investigator into the charges against him, President Renfro. And we didn't think that was a good idea for a lot of reasons, but I don't want to speak for everyone. Maybe they had different reasons why they voted the way they did. But I made a motion that instead of going that route, which is the route the president wanted to do, say, hey, let's go this other route, and let's just empower the vice president to appoint an investigator. And that motion passed, and so that's what's going to happen. We're waiting on that person's name. And as soon as we get that person's name, that person will have 30 days to investigate, gather facts, and provide a written report back to the Executive Council. And at that time, we will determine if we think those charges are substantial or not. If they are not substantial, that's it. If they are substantial, then there's hearings. There will be a 3-party panel of disinterested members formed, and we'll go through the hearing process, similar to what we did last time when President Renfro was charged, in 2023. So anyway, just giving you guys an update on that situation. I'll let Brother Henry to put out the name of the investigator, or maybe he'll have the NALC, put it out through the website. I don't know, but that's what's going to happen next regarding the charges. So update on that. You guys got any questions on that? I'm in the middle of it, so I just want to make sure I'm explaining everything to like your average member of the union. You know what I mean? Like, does all that make sense to you guys?
I'm just confused how these ones are going to be different than the ones that already existed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know you said the investigator there, so I don't know, is that was different? Or, I mean, people tend to get their hopes up, about the charges and, been let down a lot, with them. So, just what makes this any differently than, any other charges that have been brought, I guess, against him?
Well, here's what I'll say. And I think that we, the members of the union, are owed an explanation as to what happened during all that time. You had the right to go to arbitration in July of 2023, all the way up until October of 2024. So you're talking about like 15 months. You're talking about how many days is that? How many weeks is that? How many times during that period did you say, as the president of the union, that we're on the verge of going to arbitration, or we're either going to have an agreement or we're going to go to arbitration? I said that many, 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 many times over that period of time. And so when there was like thousands of people that signed on to those charges, we brought forth those charges in October of 2024. And we brought forth the charges, and Paul Barner named an investigator. The investigator was Maddie Rose. I love Maddie. I'm not here to say nothing bad about nobody, but you guys read the report. There was not much of a fact-finding mission in the report that he provided to us. And maybe that's, maybe that was the direction he was given. Maybe that's what he felt was his role there. Look, everyone's got their opinion about something, but the fact of the matter is that report from Maddie Rose did not give us a whole lot of information about what happened and what transpired during that time, which I think is what we're owed as members of the union. And then we can determine if it's substantial. We can determine if we think there was some type of negligence or there wasn't. The president is the president of the union. We elected him to be our president, and I'm not trying to take away any of his powers, but I also think that it was a really bad result, and so we need some answers. We need a little bit of analysis here at the very minimum. So now that there's going to be an investigator appointed by James Henry, I think James is of a similar mindset. That it didn't go well for us, right? And obviously James is a candidate for president, so he thinks that President Renfro didn't do a good job. You know how kind of Lew Drass said in his podcast, I'm disappointed in President Renfro for how he conducted contract negotiations. I think James would concur with that statement, and so I'm hoping and I'm thinking that when James appoints an investigator, it's somebody who's going to get in there and be able to develop some facts, so that the members of, us members of the union can look at it and determine, we want, one, we can learn some lessons. Two, we can determine, if the charges have any merit, yes or no. And like I say, if they don't have any merit, that's fine. I don't think we wasted our time. We still learned some more there. Why this time we got an investigator named versus last time, when Mr. Rivera brought forth the charges and the determination of the executive council at that time, which was a similar type charge, that we would not name an investigator. What changed between now and then, I think, was that Brother Rivera brought charges against the executive council and shined a light on that and said, hey, that violates the Constitution. And he wasn't the only one that was saying that. So I think we got this one right. You know, I think a little progress was made. And I think that we're going to get a nice, clear investigative report, fact-finding mission. And I'm very interested to see what that looks like. Does that help you guys a little more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
All right. M number 2009 came out this week. I think it came out the same day as the Executive Council in the afternoon. Wednesday afternoon it came out. The new contract is released digitally. It's a nice purple looking thing. So all of the different terms. So if you guys remember, we got the DAS award on March 21st, and it said that here's the terms, and anything that I didn't talk about that was in the TA, that is also part of the contract. So now they put all that stuff together. You have the full contract, including the things that were altered by the DAS award and the things that were altered by the tentative agreement, and you know what the contract already stated. So you have all that, and then right at the front of the digital copy of the contract, you have this document, M number 2009, which explains basically what happened when the arbitrator or mediator, if however you want to call him, Mr. Nolan, when he said that the Article 8 changes would be implemented at a time that the parties would determine jointly. The parties have now determined that and this thing is titled Resolution of Issues Left Open by the Nolan Award of March 21st, 2025. And it says that here's the Article 8 changes are going to be implemented on July the 1st. And so July the 1st is the first day of the new quarter. We're going to have, I mean, I'm assuming every region is going to do this, but you know, we're going to have extensive training all throughout the country on the changes to the overtime list, how you're going to determine equitability and all that, work assignment, NS day only, the you know, up to 12 hours in a regular scheduled day. So there's kind of like 3 different lists you can be on, and then obviously if you don't want to be on any of those lists, what that means, and then how you determine equitability at the end of the quarter. We're going to take the month of June to get ourselves schooled up on all of that, so that everyone can make the decision they want to make on July 1st. And then you have the new pay rate, which is going to be 2.5 times the regular rate of pay after you go over 12 hours or after you go over 60 hours in a week. That is not going to be implemented by July the 1st. So they're going to have this program. They're going to have this process by which at the headquarters level, they're going to look through clock rings, and everyone that goes over those hours, there's somebody in the Postal Service, and they'll have a representative in each district, will go ahead and manually input the number of hours that you're owed at the 2.5 times the rate of pay. And so they'll do that throughout the country. They'll provide us with a list, which I think out of the regional offices, then we can provide that back to the branches and say, here's all the people that got the 2.5 times their pay. If you see any discrepancies during that time, obviously our stewards are still pulling those TAC reports and pulling those overtime alerts and all of that. And so hopefully you'll have the opportunity to compare and make sure that everyone's getting paid at 2.5 times the rate if they go over 12 or 60. And then at some point they'll fix their programming and it'll be automatic. But they're not sure when exactly that'll take place, but it'll be automatic. There's nothing in here about the back pay. We're still expecting the back pay. Remember, the back pay period is from August, I think it's the 26th of 2023, all the way up until April 18th of 2025. If you worked any hours during that time frame as a letter carrier, you would get the difference in pay for difference in pay of what it was versus what it should have been, and they'll add all that up together week by week, pay period by pay period, and we'll all get a big fat lump sum in the thousands for mostly everybody. and that'll come. We're thinking in August, but there is no guarantee on when that'll come. And then it also goes into the NERP, the New Employee Retention Mentoring Program, which will also roll out on July 1st. And so it says that the current Article 8 rules that are in the previous contract are in effect through June 30th, and the New Employee Experience and Retention Program, that MOU, which there was pilot sites all throughout the country, that MOU remains into effect through June 30th, and July 1st is the new, starting period where we begin the new processes on that. There's also, if you look through the contract, there's different committees and stuff like that. So like, for example, now it's a requirement that each district have a safety committee, a joint safety committee. And so that will start happening for those that don't have a district safety committee. I asked about the joint workplace improvement process, the JWIP. We're supposed to get, it's like a joint process, representatives at the regional office, representatives in each district on behalf of the union, that we can go into certain offices and we can make recommendations, and we can try to get the post office to agree to make changes in those offices where we have hostile work environments. So that's going to start up. Obviously, they're studying the uniform program. They've been studying the damn thing since 2021 at least, and I know it's a point of contention for a lot of our members, but just letting you know that that's out there. There's a task force on the dispute resolution process because there's a big problem in there with the backlogs and stuff like that all over the country. But now we have all the terms laid out in the contract, and M number 2009 does clarify that the Article 8 changes and the NERP will go into effect on July the 1st. And I'm hoping that you guys won't ask me any questions about, the lists and, why can I go home? Why does it say that the non-ODL carriers can go home after 12 and 60 when 8.5F already says they can't be required to work beyond 10 or, whatever the limits are in 8.5F? I don't have an answer for that. We just know what it says. And, we'll kind of keep getting clarification throughout the month, and hopefully everyone will be clear by the time we get to July 1st on how all this stuff is going to be implemented, and we'll see what works and what doesn't work,
Yeah.
Should we move on?
Yeah. Because
if we let Renee ask a question here, we're going to lose 30 minutes.
Renee actually gave a training on this MOU on Thursday.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Was everyone in?
I did my best.
Did everyone come together in agreement on the interpretation?
Nah, it's a lot of confusion that's going on, with it. So I guess, like you said, hopefully the closer we get to it, the better understanding we'll have with this. Like I said, we have people been calling up to the branch. They're like, hey, I'm hearing that work assignment is going to be completely gone and I can't do that anymore. So it's just a lot of confusion out there.
Yeah, I don't, obviously, I wasn't involved in the negotiations. I wasn't involved in documents. So I would be hesitant to give you any further guidance than what is in M number 2009. I know out of our office, we had a couple of questions when we saw the language in 2009. And so we forwarded those questions to the appropriate person at NALC headquarters. And obviously in our region, at least, when we get those answers, we'll disseminate them, and we'll continue to talk about it. And like you said, hopefully be crystal clear by the time we get to July 1st.
Yeah, but just because you don't have the answers right now, that doesn't mean that I'm not still, gonna call you this week if I have a question to see if you got an answer for me.
But of course, hey, I'll try to help. That's all I can say. I'll try to.
Yeah, because Moulton's gone to I think he said Italy there for 2 weeks, so my phone calls may increase this week, so I'm just giving you
I think
fair
he's just
warning.
that's your
Yeah.
DRT rep, but I think he's just gone this
Yeah.
week. He's gone this week. He'll be back.
He told I thought it was for 2 weeks there because I let Margaret know that she was up, so she and Margaret who I'll be calling this week. So
all right,
Margaret's so patient though. She'll answer all your questions.
She will. She will. All right, so a little bit of a campaign talk. I didn't have any campaign stops this week. So, but this week coming up on Thursday, I'll be at Branch 56, which is Grand Rapids, Michigan, right on the other side of Lake Michigan from Chicago. Going to their branch meeting. Hopefully, get a good turnout there. Looking forward to. I know a lot of the people in that branch already, but looking forward to meet some new people and having good conversation with them. And then I'm going to go to the Washington State Convention. That's in Tacoma, Washington. I'll be going there Friday night. And I think I'm scheduled to speak to them on Saturday morning. And then I'll be in Columbia, Missouri next Tuesday. 763, I think is the branch number. Not positive on that, but anyway, appreciate the invitation. I'll go out there. We'll go over the schedule every week, so we don't have to go any further than that. We'll cover the next stops next. But just a reminder, anyone, if you want me to come out to a branch event, branch meeting, or whatever, there are some branches and some of our members that don't feel it's appropriate to have candidates for president or candidates for anything at their branch meetings. I think that's a disservice to your members. I think your members should have the opportunity to hear from candidates and ask questions and, touch them and, whatever, see if they like them or they don't. And I'm just going to keep making myself available in whatever capacity I can. And we have, this will be going on for a long time. I do completely understand. I've had branches tell me, look, the election ain't till next year, so we'll have you out next year. All right, fine. I understand that. But if you're saying you're not going to give the opportunity for your members to hear from a candidate for president, I don't know if I agree with that. But hey, I respect your decision. I can't force any branch to do anything that they don't want to do. So. All right. The other thing I was going to let you guys know, we did update the platform, and it is posted at careforprez.org. Careforprez.org has like so much stuff. We're still looking for volunteers, by the way. If you want to help out the campaign, we always need help all over the place. We got, anyway, a lot of materials and swag and buttons and magnets and, shit you can give out to the members in your branch, information, things like that. So if you can help the campaign, there's a spot on the website where you can do that. The platform, I wanted to talk about the platform a little bit. You can see up on the screen the homepage of the website, the way it looks right now. If you go where it says platform, there you'll see that it was updated just, I think, this past week, working on some things, and we'll continue to update it. Is there a date on there? Go down to the bottom of that first page. Is there? You got to click on it, I think. No, go back and click on that first document. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not letting me
share this tab instead.
Yeah, it should say updated somewhere. All the way at the end, maybe?
Revised 5/27/2025.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so revised 5/27. And so we first came out with the platform, I want to say June or something of 2024. Probably revised it about 2 or 3 times. And, it's not, we're not like contradicting anything that we had previously put in the platform, but some of the stuff is just expounding. Some of the stuff is updating with current events and things that happen. And some of the stuff is just new ideas and things that I learned, on the campaign trail. The Building and Fighting NALC had a meeting today, and they were doing a discussion, like a group discussion. They had a pamphlet about organizing in the Steelworkers Union. Anyway, I was on there and I told them, I said, hey, we just released the platform, but I'd appreciate it if you guys go look at it and give me your feedback, because this is how I'm going to do things as the president of the union. We're going to put our best foot forward, and then we're going to evaluate what we did, and we're going to look at it, and we're going to improve upon it. And so as we get ideas in, when I'm out there and I'm hearing from people and getting feedback and things like that, so we added a few sections in here. You see the table of contents, and some of those things were already in there, but some of them are new. Like there's a section on the food drive. There's a section there on the bottom that talks about, there's a part about exploring the idea of having a credit union just for letter carriers. You know, the mortgage rates are going up a lot, and it takes so long to kind of get into that middle class pay as a letter carrier nowadays. Maybe that's something we could do to help our members to get a little bit lower mortgage rate, because we have a no layoff clause and we're a stable workforce. And I mean, we haven't had a layoff in the Postal Service, I think, ever. So I think that we should be able to get a little bit better just as a status of being a letter carrier. And maybe that's something our union can do. So anyway, that's just one of the ideas that's in there. We'll talk a lot about the contract and the importance of getting a good contract. Talk a lot about how important it is that the grievance process works. Some of the things we've done that have worked, some of the things that we need to do as a union to kind of move this thing forward and to get the backlog down. And then you get into the union. And one of the ideas I've had for a long time now is we should be out organizing Amazon drivers. We should be out there actively trying to get them into a union. They've grown that operation, and there's now 275,000 at the last count I saw drivers, which there's only about 200,000 city letter carriers in the whole country. So you have more Amazon drivers now than you have city letter carriers, and they're non-union. And there's a big turnover, and it really deteriorates the value of home-to-home delivery when you're treating your employees like this, and when they're out there and making the same deliveries that we're supposed to be making at a much lower price. And so it's to our advantage, and obviously to their advantage to unionize. And what can we do to help that and make that happen? I think that should be a focus of our union. We talk about some of the things internal to the union, some of the changes that we want to make to make our union stronger, to make our union more efficient, to make our union serve the members more, and to involve the members of the union a lot more. So there's a lot in there. I know reading is a lost art, but I just really encourage you guys to take a look at it. And I'm not asking everyone to say, yep. I'm saying, take a look at it and see what you like and what you don't like, and what ideas and suggestions you may have, and send those through to the campaign. You can reach the campaign through the website. You can reach the campaign at caraforprez@gmail.com. A lot of you got my phone number, so you can find me on Facebook, or any number of ways. You can make comments in the chat on the different videos and things like that. There's a lot of people working for the campaign on various different sites and platforms, and so we try to capture everything. If there's a comment made on YouTube or Facebook, we're trying to make sure you're getting a response, that somebody is taking in what you're giving us. We have the comments open on the Care for Press Facebook page. Some of the comments are not as helpful as you would hope, but I just think it's better to just leave it open, so that because a lot of the comments are very helpful, and a lot of the discussion is productive. And so it's at least for right now, that is the best way of doing it. So that's about all I got here.
We have a couple things that we want to talk to you about.
Oh, awesome. Let's go.
So first we'll talk about this infographic, if I can get it up there.
And if I can see it, right?
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, there's like this light that helps with the visual, but it doesn't help me to read what's on the screen. But hopefully I'll be able to see it.
Okay, there we go. About the wildfire smoke coming down from Canada, like what carriers can do to protect themselves, kind of thing.
So at least here in Chicago, and I don't know, I know that parts of Michigan and other places were supposed to be in danger of experiencing the smoke. I didn't feel a lot of that. Did you guys? I thought it was going to come like late last week, but I don't think the air quality was that much impacted. But what was your experience?
So I'm an asthmatic, so I kind of feel any difference in like anything. I didn't actually know that there was any wildfire smoke coming this way, but that explains why I've been wheezing lately.
So it did have an impact on you. We posted it, just so you know, on the Care for Prez Facebook page as a news item. We did post it to try to share with people that it was coming our way. I think that, there's masks. If you have that type of equipment that you can wear where you can still be outdoors, like you're asthmatic, and if there's a mask or there's something that you can wear where it's not going to affect you and you're going to be fine, then I think you just kind of carry on taking the necessary precautions and asking management to make that type of equipment available to you. Kind of like we did during COVID. It's like, we need the equipment to do our job here. But if it's a situation where, it's going to put you in danger, then I think you have to inform management that it's not safe for you to go on the street on this day. And, it's not going to be like forever, but, for this particular day, it may not be safe for you to go out on the street. So, do you know of any carriers? Like, so you were out there like Friday and Saturday, right, Sarah?
Friday actually, but it was only, doing like the training for mounted delivery.
Because you were at the academy this week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you talk to anyone that had any issues with the smoke or the air quality?
No, nobody said anything. So,
yeah, it's just one more of those things, and it just really pisses me off. We never got any hazard pay. The job is just so much more hazardous now than it's ever been, and the fact that we're paid and treated like clerks, it's like, really? I mean, the dangers of the job, the physicality of the job, you got to deal with the customers and the harassment from management, and then stuff like this, climate change, and different things. It just the pay just does not reflect the nature of the job these days. And I mean, do we have to negotiate in our contract maybe a certain number of hazard days, right? Like if the air quality is below a certain amount or whatever, does that entitle you to say like admin leave, or you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Maybe there's like a half system there. You would be able to use some of your leave and they'd have to pay some, or I don't know. But it's just one more thing that we really need to look at, because all of this stuff with the climate is, it's constantly, it's going to be more and more coming our way, and we're out on these streets every day. We're out on these streets longer for more hours, and all of this stuff is really, really relevant. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know if people in like Michigan had a worse experience than we did, or other places in the country. But I have not heard, and that doesn't mean that it's not bad, but I haven't heard from a lot of our people. Like I haven't fielded a lot of phone calls like, hey, I can't breathe out here, Mike. What do I need to do? Whereas in the past, we've had that situation where, you can just like, it'll make your eyes watery, and like you say, it's hard to breathe. We've had a couple of those circumstances here in Northern Illinois, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not that frequently, but I know like when it's wildfire season, like anything's possible.
Right. All right. Well, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
What else you got?
The other thing is, let's see, there's potentially a meet and greet coming up.
We talked about, with state, like, did you have anything that you planned on doing there as far as with a Q&A or, something when we go to the state convention as far as over here, with Region 3?
Yeah, I got you. Let's put something together. That's a good idea. I will talk to the state president here in Illinois and see what, I'm going all these places around the country, right? And talking and taking questions and all that. So of course, we don't want to leave out our good friends here in the great state of Illinois. The convention will be in Springfield at the end of the month. So I'm sure we can figure out how to, get a room or, make that happen. That's a great idea.
All right. Yeah, that's all we had. So
I'll make a note of that. Thank you, guys. All right. Well, if that's it, then we'll bid everyone adieu.
yeah.
Tell you guys thank you for your time, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
All right, then. Have a
Everyone
good
be
one.
safe out there. All right, Sarah got to get in her giggles, man. That's no matter what, it's going to be a couple giggles in there. So.